welcome back to the channel. Look at me in my pseudo podcast setup. As promised, I am going to talk about everything wedding related today. Is Pippy okay?
She's moving.
Like 95% of the questions in the Q&A that I sent out on my Instagram were about wedding things. So we're basically diving into depth with it. Off camera, I have my husband, David, who a lot of you guys know how he looks like, but he's still camera shy to this day, so he's opting out. Let's start with how we know each other. So we knew each other from grade school. We were grade school classmates. I was we were both Montessori students, which means in a Montessori school, they usually put grades 1 to 3 all in one class. And then grades 4 to 6 in one class. Grades 7 to 12 was a traditional Filipino high school setting because this was before the K-12, so it was grade 7 first year to 4th year. During our time, because I'm turning 30 now. So we were grade school classmates. And I like to say this because this is the funniest part. I hated him as a kid because he was so annoying, and so was his brother. And they were rowdy and they never followed the teachers, and I was a stickler for the rules, and so I hated them.
We hated ourselves too. It's fine.
We started dating when I was 20.
Single.
When I was very much single, yeah. And you were too. I think I was 23 when we quote-unquote started dating. But the thing with us is that David actually ghosted me twice. And this is not to say, for all those of you who are in situationships where the guy is ghosting you or is not responding and you're like going and picking up all the little crumbs he leaves for you, hoping for more, that's not to say that it's something you should hold out on hope for. I do believe that I'm very lucky and I am the exception to the rule. However, he did ghost me twice.
What I did was wrong.
In fairness, though, once you hear the reason as to why he ghosted me, it's kind of like...
You'll never hear the reason why.
You know what? Why. I get it. I get why.
No one will ever hear the reason why. Now I'm shy. Your mother's right. If anybody doing the ghosties, dump the asses. It's as simple as that. However, your mother is in fact the exception, because my ghosting did not come from fuckboyery. My ghosting came because your dad is a very traumatized human being. And so deep feelings scare your papa. Scared your papa so hard, he left twice. But I came back with the milk and cigarettes, baby. I'm back in your lives. I caught feelings extra fast. And coming from a place where I was afraid to have feelings in general, I was like, I'm leaving. This happened twice, but all roads lead back to her, I guess. So
now I'm his wife.
See, I ghosted twice, so 2 negatives make a positive, and now I'm married, so
they all keep coming back. The day comes where he decides to propose. And so we enter the portion of the YouTube video where we talk about the proposal.
I was toying around with the idea of proposal for the longest time. I even broached her with the topic. However, Corona had hit us both individually. I think it was me first.
It was you. No, you tested first, and so your result came back first. The day he was supposed to propose, we were both sick the few days before.
Yeah.
We didn't suspect it to be Miss Rona, the virus, the pandemic virus.
Correct.
And I had already an inkling that it was gonna happen, so I was in denial the whole time. But David decided to take a test, and he tested positive.
Yeah, so I was like, my sense of taste and smell is very dulled. Sweetheart, I know we're supposed to have a very special picnic, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but I don't think I'll be able to smell and or taste the food. She's telling me, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're so fine. I'm like, I don't think I am.
I remember I was like, I think we're okay, because I wasn't feeling that well either, but it felt like a really bad cold. So I was like, no, it's okay. We'll do the picnic. It's gonna be fine. Because in my head, I'm like, but what if this is it? All roads seem to be pointing to the fact that this is it, and I don't want it to be postponed. Like, no, we can do the picnic. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. He tests positive for COVID.
Oh yeah, baby.
I take the test. I test positive for COVID.
She was so in denial. I think she took it 2-3 days after I did. I was telling her, babe, you should take it. She goes, I'm fine. Day of the proposal, we had dealt with Corona one after the other. It's terrible. I did not have my team for my homies to help me film it. That was the same empty field where we shot her poem October Boy, and on the day of the proposal, I wrote her a poem called Forever Girl, which was a response to October Boy. Even though October Boy wasn't written about me, it's poetic, I promise. And that's how it went down. She cried. She said yes. She's here. She hugged me and then nearly broke my knee and my back. We got up, we cried. We were too nervous and excited and happy. So all the food I made got cold and we just
Yeah.
gave it away.
Because before he took me to the field, we went and made cacio e pepe, which is pasta, to have on the picnic. And mind you, this is also one of the reasons why I had an inkling it was happening. I had been asking David to take me on a picnic for years. Years. And then suddenly, he decides, I'm gonna take you on a really nice picnic. You're gonna dress nice. We're gonna get some really nice photos of you taken so you can post it on your Instagram. And I'm just like, why now? That was the proposal. It was actually much sweeter than I feel like we're letting on. Wedding plannings and processes. First of all, the number one thing I want to say is if you guys can opt to get a wedding planner that is
it.
with you from start, okay?
Fucking do it.
Start to finish. Do it. It is one of the most sulit and worth it purchases or services that we opted for the wedding. I can't imagine doing all of that myself because I was so confused on everything. And our wedding planner, Nina from Brand with Pete,
Shout out.
she was so clear on everything we needed. The first thing we needed to do was to apply at the parish that we were going to be married under. Before this, about a week after the proposal, about a week after we broke the news to both of our sides of the families, we already locked in our venue.
Oh yeah, that was a funny story
That
because we were like,
was-
"Oh, this place looks nice," and then I leave for like 5 minutes, and I get that Max like, so I locked it in.
Booked it. If you're engaged, you gotta be fast about where you're going to be hosting this whole event, right? It's like the Hunger Games out there. So basically, I knew I wanted a garden wedding. Me and David, we both knew we wanted a garden wedding because we wanted it to look like this wedding in this game that we really, really both love. And my sister, Scout, she had recommended this place that she had wanted to get married in, but is not getting married. So she was like, you can have it. So I thank her for giving me that venue. That's very generous of her. And we liked it. From the photos, we really liked it. So we were like, okay, we're going to look into what their available dates are. And then around the time that we want to get married, which is a year from then, and see if we can pencil book. I make the calls and I'm like, is this date available? No, how about this date? How about this date? Until we land on the date of the 27th of December. And we say, okay, we want to get pencil booked for that date. The girl from the venue, which is Bella Rosa, the Bella Rosa Gardens in Silang, Cavite, she was like, okay, ma'am, we're pencil booking you. Just so you know, it's first come, first serve. But also, if anybody tries to pencil book, they will be pencil booked for that same date. But we will let you know if someone does try to pencil book. You will only get the venue if you give the deposit first, if you pay the deposit first. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That makes sense, right? The same day that she confirms that I'm pencil booked, about an hour later, I get a call saying that some other couple was pencil booked into the slot and that they now had priority over us because they pencil booked from their booth at a bridal convention, which David and I did not do. So I was like, no fucking way am I losing this location. Like, no way am I losing it. The Bella Rosa Gardens was wonderful because not only is it like gardens, right? But and that it was homey, but they had a chapel within walking distance. It's one whole compound. So there's a chapel, and then a few feet away is the reception and cocktail area, and then another few feet away is this gorgeous like tented garden where we had our reception, and then they also had an accommodations area. So literally everyone is just in one place, and you don't have to worry about transportation or getting everybody there because you can offer accommodations to these people in that same compound. So I told the girl, what's your bank deposit account? And then she gave me the account, and then I had been saving up for like 2 years for the wedding. So I took some money from my wedding fund and I deposited the amount that they were asking for. And that solidified the December 27, 2024 date for us. We basically stole it from the other couple. But you know what? I have no regrets, and I hope they had a great wedding too. So once we had gotten the venue, then we were informed under which parish we would be marrying under, which is of course going to be different from the chapel that is inside the actual venue, because that chapel is owned by a particular parish within Cavite as well. The first thing we had to do is we had to travel an hour and a half, which is not bad, to the main parish church and submit the requirements, which was the baptismal certificates. We had to give the confirmation certificates, a Senomar, which is your certificate of no marriage, which you can get from the PSA website.
Yeah, you just request it, and then they'll send it to you in like 7 working days.
It's so easy. You literally just have to fill in the details in the PSA website, and then your delivery address. You have to make the payment online, which you can do through Gcash.
Requested Senomars for both me and Max early in the year. They're only valid for like 5 or 6 months.
Yeah, keep that in mind, okay? That comes back around later. Keep that in mind. The Senomars only valid for 6 months. And then 2x2 ID photos. By the way, when you submit your baptismal certificate or any church certificate, make sure that it is for marriage and not for filing, because I made the mistake because I was so confused. I remember the person at my church was like, is it for marriage or for filing? Are you submitting it to get married like soon? And I'm like, well, no, not yet, but I do need it. So she was like, okay, I'll make it for filing then. So I was just like, all right, I guess. Apparently there's a huge difference. I feel like I should have known that, but I didn't. So I had submitted the document they had given me for filing, and they were like, this isn't the right one. Like, it has to say for marriage and not for filing. Good thing is they accepted all our other requirements. We just had to come back to give the correct baptismal for marriage certificate. So we went to the parish church, we submitted that. They had us fill out the marriage application form, which is great. I took pictures pa. I was like, ate pa picture kasi this is a big moment. So I have photos of us filling out the marriage forms. I hope it's still in my phone. We'll see. Then they were like, okay, once you submit this, then you guys have to schedule for your pre-cana seminar. And this only happens if you are of Roman Catholic in religion. If you're Christian, I don't think you definitely don't need it, but what you do need is the pre-marriage counseling, which is across the board for anybody getting married anyway. So we had to go through 2 seminars and 1 canonical interview. So your pre-cana seminar is supposed to be 6 months before the date of you getting married, and then your pre-marriage counseling is 3 months along with the marriage bands before you get married. So come July, we entered the pre-cana seminar, and this was 8 hours of our life we could not take back. I don't want to get too into depth with it because this video is going to take forever, but I will just say that the things they were giving in that pre-cana seminar, which is basically, it's a whole day orientation about your role as husband and wife in a marriage. I just want to say that the way they were thinking was very ancient, very dated, very sexist ways of thinking, and we had to sit through 8 hours of being told where our roles lie.
Women weak, men strong for 8 hours. That's what we got. Also,
women weak, men strong.
Women don't handle money well. Men handle money well.
Women shop too much.
Men cheat a lot, apparently.
Women need to pray for the loyalty of their husbands. It was just very dated thinking, very cringe. I will say though, you would think that David and I would be angry throughout all of it. We kind of were just laughing at the whole thing. It was very sexist and very dated, stereotypical ways of thinking over what a man's role in a marriage is and what a woman's role in a marriage is.
Also very biologically inaccurate.
And very, yeah. So just keep that in mind. So if you guys are in a state where you are getting married and you have to do the pre-cana seminar because you are also of Roman Catholic religion, Just don't be so shocked when you walked in. We kind of were expecting it because we had friends that had gotten married that were warning us of it.
Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of, this is a little side note. There's two ways to do your pre-cana stuff. You could do your seminar, which is eight straight hours.
8 hours.
I think it was like 9. I'm only saying 9 or 10 because there was waiting time. But like you do your 8 hours because originally it's supposed to span like what 3 days.
You could also
It's a
get
retreat.
roped into a retreat.
Yeah, it's like 3 days, 2 nights at like this random place. The 8-hour version is what it was their patchwork solution for during the time of COVID. They were like, well, people can't go up to these retreat houses, so let's
Yeah.
just slam everything in the 8 hours.
But it's 3 days of just the same speeches over and over again.
Except you're not home.
Different people giving the same testimonies over and over again is what our friend who got married, who had to do the 3-day retreat, had told us. It was a lot of us just agreeing to them on the outside, but inside we're like, this is a lot. You know that SpongeBob episode where the one fish student was like, this is a load of barnacles. It was like that with me and David.
I had Max gripping my thigh, just telling me, Dave, it's not worth it. Don't get angry. But I'm like, babe, I really want to correct them.
It was really bad. Even like the way they talked about bodily autonomy was a huge red flag.
Like it's factually incorrect, like biologically incorrect. The morning is not for conceiving.
Do you want to talk about that?
All right, chat. I'm gonna tell you this one. This was my
okay,
favorite story
so
to tell.
basically, hold on. Before you get into it, there were like, each speaker had their own category, and one of the speakers was about like having sex in a marriage, which is fine. Sure,
it's the
talk
first
about
speaker.
it, right?
It's the first one
So,
that set the tone.
Her whole thing was about how you're not getting married because you're in love. You're getting married because you're starting a family, and you have to start a family.
The sole purpose of procreation.
Yeah,
That's what they said.
Your sole purpose for getting married is to procreate, and so they literally said, when you get married, you have to start having a child. They also literally said that you have to prioritize having a family over your own career. And they said it in tandem with your husband. As your husband, yes, you make the money, but you have to spend more time trying to conceive. That kind of doesn't make sense, because how are you to sustain a family without the financial ability to sustain them, right? That was one of it. But then we started talking about conceiving and the bodily functions that you need to conceive.
The sex ed lady, right, straight up asks me, sir, do you know why your little guy is standing at attention in the morning? And Max is just mouthing or whispering to me, just say whatever, get it over with. I'm like, and so I didn't know what to say. So I looked at it and said, do you want like the real answer, or do you want like the Bible answer? Which one do you want? And then she says, oh, I want the real answer. I'm like, okay, you want the real answer. Okay, it is a physiological response of blood rushing from the head to the bottom of the body when you wake up, because that's just how our bodies work. It is what happens when everybody wakes up. It happens for both man and woman. It just so happens it's easier to tell when a guy's done it. Oh, okay, thank you for the science, but God truly wants you to have a child in the morning. That is why I'm like, well, clearly
Yeah.
you didn't want my answer.
David gave the scientific, factual response, and she just was like, no, it's because God is telling you to make a baby in the morning.
At like 7 a.m., I'm like, okay.
I'm like, bitch, I don't even think I have enough energy in the morning to get off of bed. How am I gonna be making a baby in the morning?
I'll tell you right now, I wake up at 7. I don't feel human till 9.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind for your pre-cana seminar. We also had to do the pre-marriage counseling, which for a while there, since it was 3 months after the pre-cana seminar, we forgot that there was another orientation.
You know, shout out wedding planners for reminding
Again,
us.
Get a wedding planner. You don't need an expensive one to have one that's good. Trust us, she was so affordable, and she was on top of everything from start to finish. We're literally married because of her. We literally were able to get married because she put us on the path to the straight and narrow towards that wedding aisle. Anyway, so the pre-marriage counseling came around, and this was a half-day seminar. This one, our friend that got married was telling us it's a lot more reasonable, this one. Like, the things they were talking about, it's family planning, it's about how to be responsible, which it was for the most part.
These are your contraceptive options, which we didn't get with the Pre-cana. Like, this is where you go if you have a medical issue. This is how you do some tax stuff.
Yeah. And they were also like, we got a free clinic here if you need to get a checkup.
Yeah.
They gave us some horror stories between husbands and wives, like doing the deed and the husband not being very good to the wife while they were doing the deed.
That's stories you can't share on any platform.
They didn't discuss taxes, did they?
No, not quite taxes, but it was just like how to budget things out.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like the difference between macro and micro spending or expenditures there, with like your macros being like houses, bigger things like insurance, and like if in the case of family planning, children, schooling.
They also taught how to figure out when you're fertile.
Yeah, there's like
that was a whole thing.
It was like they said like they mentioned there's like an app. I know like a lot of people use an app to chart.
There's the period beads that they showed
That's the
us,
one I
which
didn't know
I didn't
about.
even I didn't know about that. But it was also like the consistency of like bodily fluids is how you can tell if you're fertile or not. So it was a lot more mindful. Right after the pre-marriage counseling is when you can finally submit your application to get married to the actual municipality.
The wedding bands. Yeah.
Oh wait, we also did the wedding bands around
timed it.
the same time as the pre-marriage counseling. We also went to each of our churches and submitted for wedding bands, which was super easy. It's basically when they read out your names, like, oh, this couple is gonna get married. If anybody has anything to say about it, come to the admin of the church and tell us about it. Thank God nobody did that for us, but it happens for 3 consecutive Sundays. So for about 3 weeks, you're waiting on the marriage bands to finish, and then once it's finished, you can go pick up the confirmation slip that it's finished, and then submit it to your church.
Yeah.
There. And then, so going back to after the pre-marriage counseling, they hand out all the marriage application forms. There was 4 sets of them. And I filled out each and every single one of them over and over and over again, because they were like, between the two of you, the person with the better handwriting has to fill it out. And I can't understand David's handwriting.
I got
for
doctor's
shit.
handwriting.
So I ended up being the one to fill it out. I made a few mistakes along the way, and I was freaking out a little bit because my hand was starting to cramp, because there were 4 sets of me having to fill out my name, my address, my birthplace, my birthday, my mom's maiden name, my dad's name, each of their addresses, even if they live in the same place, contact info, all of that for my side, and then all of that again for David's side, 4 times. 4 freaking times! And then we went and submitted it to our area's, what do you call it? Like, there's
It's like our NSO type thing.
Yeah, like an office for people getting married.
It's a government office.
A government,
but not just for marriage. I noticed they also did like a death certificate and stuff. So like, I guess it's just updating population and census stuff.
Yeah. When we were in line to submit, we submitted the application form, our ID pictures. I submitted my PSA birth certificate. He submitted his baptismal, because you can submit either of the two. Our pre-marriage counseling application and certificate. And also the Senomar. Remember how we said that the Senomar, which is the certificate of no marriage that you had to submit to your parish, remember how we said that only lasts 6 months? We got in line, and they said our Senomars were both expired.
By like a month each.
By like a month. Because the first time we needed to submit a copy of our Senomar was to the parish church. And that was over 6 months from the time we were now submitting it for the actual marriage application form. So they were like, well, what's lucky for you is because you both have national IDs, you can literally just go across the hall, apply for a new certificate of no marriage.
Yeah.
We were so lucky because the line was moving not too slow, but not too fast either. So it didn't take us
There's also
forever.
no one there. In comparison to, I'm assuming, what it would be like on a real active day.
I guess so.
We literally had no one
It was
there.
a manageable day.
Yeah.
So we had sat in line for the Cenomar. We were so close to the cutoff time. So when you apply for your Cenomar in person, you can either, if you're within the cutoff time, they can print it and give it to you on the same day. When I finally got to the service table and I was like, can I get a Cenomar? Here are all my details. They were like, okay, but you have to come back and pick it up tomorrow. My heart dropped. Because at that point, we had been in line for like 2-3 hours. We were waiting for a long time. We had
No, for
waited
the
for a
first
long
place,
time.
yeah.
For the first place, plus having to wait in line to get the new Cenomar because we couldn't submit everything because we were missing the Cenomar because ours was expired. So the lady was like, oh, you're going to have to pick it up tomorrow. So I turned to David and I was like, well, looks like we're going to have to come back tomorrow. But then the guard that helped us figure out where the line for the Cenomar was, the guard came to the girl at the service desk and she was like, no, they're still within the cutoff time. We were right in the nick of time. So they were like, so she was like, okay, no, you can take it home pala today. We can still print it. And I was just like, oh God, thank you. Thank you, because I don't want to come back and have to line up again the next day. We both got our Cenomar. It was probably a total of 45 minutes waiting. And then we walked back over across the hall.
And then another 15, 20 minutes later.
No, we went straight because all of the other couples were gone by the time we got back. So the lady that was like, you need to apply for a new Cenomar, she was like, come on. There's no one left. Come on.
She just took it from us, stamped a couple of things. She's like, okay, come back in, I forget, like 7 days or something like that. Like, and then you're good. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah, so we submitted it. We made the payments. She took our photo because all the couples have to do that.
Yeah.
I think we get posted on the marriage board for people to see who's getting married.
You know, when we came back to check and receive our thing, I couldn't find ours.
I couldn't find ours either.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they had like turned it over already, but we submitted it.
I think what they have there is like the active ones that are out. Since we were already good, they just took it down.
So by the time we had submitted it, that was it na. Like, nothing else was left. We didn't have to take anything home. We didn't need any more files to bring to the wedding. Like, everything was with them and everything else was with the church. And it was literally a countdown to getting into the venue and getting married.
There was, in fact, one thing left.
What?
We had to pick a priest.
Okay. And now
and have an interview, but this is more. It's the same thing.
Enter the canonical interview, which was quite short. It was quite short. It was longer waiting online for the canonical interview because I believe when we finally paid for the marriage application and submitted it to the girl, we had to take the marriage application home, the marriage certificate, the empty marriage certificate home. Oh
yeah, we had to take it. We had to take like a copy or two home.
It was 4 copies. We had to take it home and then take it back to the church. When we took it back to the church,
we'd have to leave it with them.
We had to wait in line for the canonical interview.
Yeah.
So we waited like 45 minutes to an hour for our turn.
Something like that.
Yeah, and then we got to the priest that was there, and he gave us a mini lecture about our roles as husband and wife and how, the importance of the sanctity of matrimony. And he seemed fine. At the time, we will circle back to this, we asked him to be the priest because they told us that we can choose our priest, but they didn't really give us options.
So we just went with the first priest that interviewed us and seemed normal.
We just went with the first priest we saw. So we asked him, can you be the priest for our wedding? He was like, yeah. So we were like, okay, great. So we went back to the church admin, told them that our interview was done. They were like, okay, you're good to go. Now you guys can just go wait and get married. Like, go wait for the day you get married. Before we get to the actual day of, let's jump into the fun stuff of planning. So I'm going to list down all of the venues and the suppliers we got, or at least all of that I can remember, for our wedding. Just for reference, in case you guys are getting married and are interested in the suppliers that we got as options for you guys. Our venue was the Bella Rosa Gardens in Silang, Cavite. We got them on a package. So they have a package where you can have the church and the venue and the cocktail and reception area. But you can also just book the church, or you can also just book the venue. So we got them on a package rate. Because the Bella Rosa Gardens was owned by an actual professional florist, we could not outsource a florist for a wedding. However, the florist that we got, who was Rosabella Ongpin, who was
Who's the
the
owner?
owner of the
Bella
Bella
Rosa
Rosa Gardens, did a phenomenal job with our flowers. Like, she really got my peg to a T.
Her
It
and her
was
team, fantastic.
beautiful. Do not ask me about my flowers because I did not know what flowers I wanted. I basically just went on Pinterest and I was like, that looks nice. That feels like me. And then I sent them a photo and they recreated everything. Our physical wedding invites, I want to talk about them a lot of bit, because they did such beautiful work. So my aunt had handed over a reference for our wedding invites because we didn't know what necessarily we wanted to do for our wedding invites, and our aunt had suggested the Quiversmiths. My aunt is a huge SB19 fan, and apparently the Quiversmiths had a production house that did work for SB19. So she was like, I know these people from the SB19 community. They have this entire thing of where they make wedding invites. And it was love at first sight because they hand make these wedding invites. They watercolor each and every page of the wedding invite, and then they will digitally copy it so that the wedding invites that you give out to your guests are the digital reprints of the hand painted invites that you get to keep as the couple. So the Quiversmiths did that for us. We did a whole discovery call and an exploration call on what they wanted to come up for us and what would fit our wedding style and our personalities the most. They did like this diorama style invite where all the pages aren't the same size. They basically stack on top of each other so it looks like a diorama.
Very rustic.
Very rustic looking. It was hand painted and then digitally reprinted, which we then gave to our guests. And I will say, of course, because of the level of work and the amount of work that they put into our invites, they were quite pricey, but they were so worth it, because the invite itself felt like a souvenir for us because of how beautifully it was done. And it just is so unique. It's so unique, so personalized compared to other invites that you would usually get from weddings. So we really loved the idea of that, and the Quiversmiths just did a phenomenal job with the physical invites. That, by the way, David was fighting me on, but he eventually relented and was like, okay, we'll do the physical invites because you really wanted it. And by the time he saw the final product, he was like, I'm glad we did this. And I was like, yeah, so am I. For my bridesmaids gifts, I went with two suppliers. One was Historia PH, who I highly recommend. They give very vintage vibey jewelry. I got these initial necklaces. They were so gorgeous. I had each of them customized to the initials of each of my bridesmaids with a matching amethyst gem because my engagement ring is an amethyst gem. And I just thought that was like a cute little detail I wanted to add in there. For my maids of honor, so that they feel a little more special, I also got them matching bangles that had engraving in the back that said sisters. Because my maids of honors were my two sisters, David's sister, who is now my sister-in-law, who I love to death, and also my cousin, who is my best friend in the entire world and is pretty much my sister. So all of them were my maids of honors. My cousin was my honorary maid of honor. Not officially, but honorary. Our caterer was Bizu, which was fun. We did a whole food tasting with them.
Some say I'm still full from that day.
We went in hungry because we knew we were gonna eat food. Our mistake was that, well, mostly my mistake, was that I ate each serving like it was a meal until we got to the latter half of the tasting, and there was still so much to go through, and I could only take bites at that point because I was so full. And David, who only really was tasting, was still so full after that.
Guys, I want to let you know that you've seen me sometimes in, like, if you've seen the wedding video. You know I'm a chunky human being. I used to be way chunkier. So I've lost a considerable amount of weight.
Yeah.
So I was able to look good and feel good on the wedding. Even though I'm a little chunky, I felt like I lost a lot of weight. I felt good. I am so sure my start of a calorie deficit was not because I wanted to lose weight. It's because I still felt perpetually full after Bizu.
It was a lot.
We were too nervous to eat on the day of, but I'm so sure that the Bizu team did an incredible job.
I'll talk about this more, but we were getting pulled left and right on the day of the wedding. We did not get to eat, not because we were too nervous, which is also part of it,
Oh yeah.
but also because we had so many things to do as the married couple that we could not eat. Bizu was my dream caterer for the wedding. I had attended like brand events where Bizu was a caterer. I had attended my sister's best friend's wedding where Bizu was a caterer. And the food was always phenomenal. And I just knew that the day I get married is the day that I'm gonna be able to say that I was able to get Bizu as my caterer. And I'm so grateful that I was actually able to achieve that dream. So
the irony, we didn't fucking eat it.
we didn't eat much of the food, but you know,
No.
I had Bizu as a caterer.
Several
You
thousand
take
there.
home the food. You don't. If you don't finish it, you take it home. They will pack it for you and give it to you because you paid for that food. So that being said, the food from the wedding, everything, because it was a buffet table for everybody else except for our VIPs, where we were handed it in plates, right? All the leftover food from the buffet, we had to take home.
One of my best men took home a whole half turkey.
Yeah. We
How the
literally
fuck
gave
did
a
that happen?
whole turkey because not everybody finished. We had 2 turkeys. One of the turkeys were not finished.
Yeah.
They gave us a whole ass turkey and we were like, wala kaming ref, saan namin to
Like,
ilalagay? So we had to like distribute, give away. At the end of the wedding night as well, David and I were just in our hotel room. Like we were literally, each of us, one Tupperware each of like 40 or so plus quiches just eating while watching a YouTube video in our hotel bed.
That's good shit.
Literally the night of the wedding.
Yeah.
Coffee and cocktails was Black Box, who did a phenomenal job. Like
Shout out.
I will rave about them time and time again. So we found them on like a top 10 list of cocktail bars that you can hire for your wedding. And they looked really cool. Like they had like this photo of this black mini truck that they serve their cocktails out of. So we booked with them a cocktail tasting. On the form that they ask you to fill out after you schedule with them, they ask you about each of your personalities, describe your relationship in one sentence, blah 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 blah. On the day of the tasting, they give you basically like a bunch of different cocktails that is on their like usual menu, and then they give you one bespoke cocktail. If you don't know what a bespoke cocktail is, basically it's a cocktail that they invent for you. They come up with the recipe for you, but they base it off of that one liner that they asked for you from the form.
That's like a whole. They had like a digital questionnaire they handed to us.
Yeah, it was a digital questionnaire.
I don't remember much. I was drunk.
And they had asked, okay, describe your relationship in one sentence. And I believe I said, we're 2 extremely different people that somehow work in harmony. Because David and I are like on opposite ends of the spectrum. Like we do not really have a lot of things in common, but we work out well anyway as friends and as like a couple. So that was basically what I had said. The way they made our bespoke cocktail, which we named When Lino Flowers Bloom, in reference to that same game that we wanted to tailor fit our wedding to, which is Trails of Cold Steel. It was coffee foam, and a coffee syrup in a, was it gin?
It was,
Or like,
it was a gin.
or
Like
was
a
it
raspberry
it was
gin thing.
Or was it vodka?
It was
I do
definitely a
not-
clear liquid.
It was a clear liquor.
It was a clear
But
it was a
it
clear
was-
liquor with like a daiquiri in it to
yeah.
color it, and then it was
It
like
was
a
like
raspberry
a-
flavor.
Okay, so for clarity, it was a coffee foam and like a coffee syrup on top of like some kind of clear liquor that tasted like strawberries. It had bits of strawberries in it. And it captured us perfectly because, for one, David is a coffee connoisseur. Man can get a little snobby about coffee, and he makes really, really great cups of coffee, as you've seen in my previous vlog. But he really knows his shit with coffee. And I am your little strawberry baby that loves Sanrio and all the cute things. And I love dressing up all girly and feminine and being in my feminine energy. And those are 2 different things that you would not think would work. Coffee and like some kind of fruity liqueur. But when you taste it, it was like a burst of flavor in my mouth. And we had so many people come up to us that were kind of doubting it because it didn't look like it would go together, but they tasted it and they would come up to us and be like, yo, this is fucking good. And I'm like, I know. That's why I was telling you, get the bespoke drink over everything else. It looked pretty.
It was
too.
very pretty, but I understand the
beautiful.
apprehension, especially because when they asked what's in it, and they were like, love. They're like, that ain't telling me
It
shit.
was beautiful, and then they had like a flower in it as well.
Shout out to Sampaguita.
So highly recommend the black box for cocktails. Like highly, highly, highly recommend.
Black box.
They
if you're...
really made it. They made us feel so special. And mind you, they came up with the recipe on the same day that we had our tasting. We tasted all the drinks first, and then they asked us to describe our relationship again on the side of that whole digital form thing that they had us fill out. And then the bartender and the manager stepped aside to talk, and they came back and they were like, okay, we've come up with a drink. We will make it for you right now. They did it on the spot. They gave us a second option, which was wine and whiskey. Was it lemonade?
I don't think they put whiskey because I said...
No, it was wine and something else.
Yeah, it was wine something else, but
But
it wasn't whiskey.
It wasn't as poetic as the first one with coffee foam, coffee syrup, and that fruity liqueur. It was not as poetic.
It was gin.
It was gin?
It was like a strawberry or a raspberry gin.
Yeah, it was... okay, there you go. It was poetic. That whole experience, the whole service with them was poetic. That's the best way I can put it. This is a small thing, but a thing that I really, really wanted was the Trinkets Carts from Trinkets PH. I just saw them on my feed on Instagram. They're basically a Trinkets Cart where you can select 5 to 6 band colors. This is what I'm wearing it right now. So you can choose 5 different colors for bands, and then they will give you like a set of charms of the alphabet, and then other charms that are in all these cute shapes. And then basically they'll come to your wedding, they'll set up their cart, and all your guests can go to their cart and make their own personalized bracelets. So I got to get mine. I couldn't make my own, but they did ask me in advance because they knew I'd be doing bride stuff on the day of the wedding. Our souvenirs were candles by Earthly Scents. We got to choose 2 scents. And then coffee sets for our ninongs and ninangs, who were the sponsors of the wedding, by Best Gift Manila. So let's talk about like moving in at the same time of trying to get the wedding ready.
I remember shopping for furniture was fun, mainly because we got to yell at each other. That's always fun. And then I soon realized that I have to fight tooth and nail to get what I want.
No, you do not. He keeps saying that. Oh, I wasn't able to get what I... David only ever got what he wanted. You see this couch I'm sitting on? Do you really think I would have selected a black couch? A dark, dark, dark brown couch? Do you really think I would have selected a dark, dark, dark brown couch?
And yet it's the most comfortable thing in the world.
I don't deny its comfortability. I deny choosing this couch for its color.
It's like a whole Ikea thing.
Ikea was a pain in the ass to work with. We were shell-shocked by how inconvenient they were. We bought a crap ton of furniture. Almost all our furniture are from Ikea. A lot of our like storage units, our closet, my desk, his desk, are from Ikea, okay? It was a crap ton of stuff. They did not tell us we needed a road permit, and we were asking them on the day that we had paid. We were like, okay, what do we need to prepare? They were just telling us, well, you just need a work permit for your apartment. Okay, that's it? Yeah, that's it. And then the day they were supposed to deliver, they're asking us for a road permit that we did not file for because we weren't told we needed a road permit, only to find out that on that same day, they decided to switch the vehicles to a larger vehicle because we ordered a lot of stuff.
So our road permit was also void once we finally got it going.
Because it doesn't make sense. If you guys had planned to use a bigger car, a road permit takes 2 days to get approved at a minimum.
Yep.
You should have told us. And yet you're telling us on the day of, do you have a road permit? When they made the decision apparently to switch vehicles because of they did not plan out how big a vehicle they needed for the amount of stuff they were delivering. Anyway, there was that. It was finally delivered somewhere down the line. And then on the same day, so they delivered everything. On the same day, in a few hours, they were also, a new set of people were supposed to come from Ikea to assemble everything out for us because we paid for an assembly fee. And it was freaking expensive. We get a message telling us that the assembly is being canceled because they came upon an emergency. Now listen, that would have been fine for me had we not been getting married in literally 5 days at that point. Where are we gonna go if we're married and all our furniture is not assembled? We had nothing in this place except the furniture, the unassembled furniture at this point. We had not been moved in yet. And they were telling us that they were canceling and they would reschedule us for a later time when I had already booked a full cleaning service because this place was dirty and dusty. And I also had a bunch of other appointments that I had to get done because we were a few days leading up to the wedding. Anyway, it was a whole shit show. I got in contact with Ikea customer service, which by the way, their customer service sucks. They respond better on Instagram than they do in their customer service. I was in line on my call for like an hour and a half to 2 hours until a man named Josh picked up. God bless Josh, because he fixed everything for us. He was so kind. I wish I could call the head of Ikea and be like, listen, there's this worker from the Philippines named Josh who handles your customer service, and he got everything done for us. He got all our shit assembled for us. Someone give him a promotion. Someone make him be partner or a stockholder to Ikea. He got it fixed. We were able to move in time. However, I had to pull a few all-nighters of moving in my stuff back and forth from the home to here a few times and unpacking everything because of the mess that was Ikea. Finally getting married and our individual experiences. We booked our venue accommodations for 2 nights. So we were there the day before the wedding, the day of the wedding, and then we checked out the day after the wedding. We didn't follow the whole thing of you don't see your husband the day before the wedding, which apparently is a thing. I only know of like you don't see each other on the day of the wedding, but we all went to the venue the day before the actual wedding day. But the day of the wedding, when we both woke up on the wedding day, how did you feel? How are you feeling?
Wow, stressed out of my mind. I woke up, I'm like, big day. Very big day. I was so nervous. I didn't even leave my room hut thing that we had. I only went out because my parents were next door. I only went out to go check on them, and I went right back in. I only gained a semblance of confidence when my best men started pouring in. I'm like, oh, thank God. And then I had the if you watch the wedding video, you'll know exactly what I had for breakfast. It's my favorite line in the entire video. I had hot silog. I'm nervous as hell.
So the night before, I had my cousin sleep over in my suite, the bridal suite, because I didn't want to be alone the night before my wedding. I didn't want to have enough time to think about me getting married and getting nervous about it because I knew that if I did, I wouldn't be able to sleep. God bless her heart. She's engaged now too. She's getting married. She slept over and then we just spent the night like reminiscing about our childhood because we grew up together. That's why I said that she's basically my sister. We grew up together. And she really did a good job of like keeping me preoccupied because by the end of it, I was so tired I just passed out. The morning that I woke up, I couldn't really wrap my head around the fact that I was getting married yet. I knew that it was happening, but more so the feeling hadn't sunken in. I'm a bride, I'm getting married, I'm about to be a wife. Like, it hadn't really sunk in yet. I basically was just going by the itinerary of the day. When I put on my gown, it was more of a feeling of, wow, this is it. I think it started to hit me when we did the gown reveal to the family, where that I wasn't expecting to be nervous, but I think like being the center of attention made me nervous, and knowing that emotions were running rampant, not just for my family, but also like all around. Like for me, my emotions were starting to rise. That was what was making me nervous. And knowing that I had to try my best not to cry because I didn't want to ruin my makeup. Even if my makeup was cry-proof. Like, I was stayed snatched the whole day. I still didn't want to, like, risk it. The closer that we got to 3 p.m., which is the time of the ceremony, that was when it started to be torture for me. Because I knew that it was coming up. And there was a lot of waiting time because they had to, of course, make sure that David and I did not cross paths. So they had to get David to the church first. And then when he was in the church, I was outside in the golf cart waiting for like 30 minutes, and that felt so freaking long because I had hit a point where I just like I didn't care. They were asking me like do this, do that for the video and the photo. I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to run. I wanted to run down that path outside the church, burst through the door of the church, and then run down the aisle to David. I just wanted to just get to him. I heard your song start to play. I think the mixture of me wanting to cry but forcing myself to hold back my tears caused me to hyperventilate, which you might be able to hear in the wedding video. You'll hear me go,
Oh, Will heard it.
yeah, because I could not, like, I was fighting myself on crying, and it ended up becoming hyperventilation. So I was like, the whole time, because I was trying to keep it together, but it just was not working out. Especially when I heard his song play, which was Jan Jaka Jan.
Jaka-Jan from Dragon Ball Daima.
And we knew what we were like. Each of us were walking down the aisle to.
Yeah,
So
we told each other. We chose our songs.
yeah, exactly. So when I heard it, that was when it hit me that David's in there. He's in there and he's walking down the aisle. Like he's made it.
When my music hit, I was extremely hyped. I saw a bunch of people who were confused, did not get the reference. My brother got the reference, and I great look on his face. Shout out my little brother. He looked hella hype when he's like, "Oh my god, wait, that's the song you chose." My parents were very confused, but I was very happy because I was like, "Okay, this song is cool." The song has always got me emotional. As a Dragon Ball fan, I'm not gonna get into it, but if you know, you know. So I was already high on emotions of it's the best day of my life. There's this song that's tied to such an important piece of media that's playing. I see my brother who's getting hyped for me and for the song. My mother's a mess, waiting, crying, telling me in Spanish, "Be strong, breathe." The entire time, she thought she could tell me, "Be calm, be brave, deep breaths," because she sounded like, "Hijo, breathe, cálmate, cálmate." I'm like, "You don't sound calm at all, Mom." I don't know if I should take your advice. I cried 5 steps into my walk. I saw my mother and my father. My mother was, like I said, my mother was a mess. So I'm like, okay, I cried there. And then I cried again while I was up the altar. I stopped crying for a little bit. And then Max's music hit. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Don't cry. Cries immensely. I feel like a panic attack is hitting me because like everything deafens and I can only focus on her. Like my eyes are locked in on Max. Like if you ever had a panic attack, you know it's a terrible feeling, but it's like the one time I'm like, oh yeah, I'm vibing with this panic attack. As I'm about to have a complete emotional breakdown.
Okay, sorry. My camera died. I had to switch batteries. Anyway, so the doors open for me at the church, right? My song didn't start right away. Nina, God bless her heart, was bent over on my right side, like getting me ready, right? But the doors had opened. My song wasn't playing. So I was just standing there for a few seconds waiting for my song to play. I think it might have been like 10 long, very long seconds of waiting for my song to play. And everyone was just staring at me and I was just trying to like look beautiful, I guess, the whole time. And Nina, my wedding planner, was like, play song, play song. Doesn't play. Play song, play song. And then it finally plays. And then I step forward. And I had been practicing for weeks on my bridal heels because I got 4-inch stilettos. I really thought I could walk in them. I was wrong. So I had to practice for a while. And the day came where I actually had to walk down that aisle and those doors opened. And I think I did a pretty good job, except I was stumbling a little bit. And I remember that at some point, as I was walking down the aisle, my dad was like, "Kaya mo yan." And everybody in the church giggled. And I was just like, I'm trying to keep my balance. I did not feel calm walking down that aisle. I felt very like, I wanted to sprint. I had had enough of the waiting and the being pulled left and right to take pictures or to twirl or to
Blow kisses.
blow
apparently.
kisses,
I don't know.
tell the story of how we started dating, the story of my
Oh,
scrapbooks.
they did that to you too?
Yeah.
I had to tell the story of how we started dating 5 times throughout the photo shoot.
Yeah, you had to do it over and over again for the photographer, for the videographer.
The videographer I get. Why is the photographer asking me to tell? And I'm assuming he's like, oh, it's because you'll smile when you tell it. Yeah, I'll smile when I tell it the first 2 times. The 8th time,
I had enough of all of that. By the time I was right in front of the church, and as I was walking down that aisle, I literally just wanted to bulldoze through everybody because I just wanted to get to him. I don't know how accurately I can explain that feeling of gigil na gigil ka na talaga. But I had to walk slowly to allow everybody the time to admire my gown, which I understand. But I also
we paid money for a video team.
we paid money for a video team. They captured it beautifully, but I really just wanted to run to David. I just wanted to run to him and be with him. Now we're gonna circle back around to the priest that we told you we asked to facilitate our marriage. He was really intense. My dad was pretty mad. David's mom was pretty mad. David and I were kind of just there, like, pandering to him because I'm scared that if we show we're uncomfortable, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna marry you anymore. I'm not gonna marry you." So we kind of were just doing the same thing we were doing during the Pre-cana seminar, where we were like, "Yes, Father, yes." But he was saying some pretty wild stuff. One of the most notable ones was, "Maxine, you should not expect David to be faithful because you have to pray for his loyalty." He had said a couple of things that elicited gasps from our wedding guests in the church.
It was
He had said of the first one was the one about, "Max, do not expect David to be faithful." Literally, there was a very audible batch of from our wedding guests in the back. And there was a second thing he said. I promise to you, I am not exaggerating. Like, the fact that our own wedding guests had gasped multiple times throughout his sermons was quite concerning. Now, one of the biggest compliments we've gotten on our wedding was how much they loved our reception entrance. So we had WWE inspired wrestling entrances.
It was really sick. I said it as a bit. I was like, babe, it would be so funny if we did this. And Max was like, yeah, it would be. I'm like, what?
But what if we actually did?
I'm like, huh?
Because the thing is, David had me watch this really wonderfully made video essay. This was my introduction to the world of WWE.
Wait, hang on. Shout out to my boy, Super Eye Patch Wolf.
I love Super Eye Patch
We
Wolf.
love you.
He makes video essays. He's really great at them, very in-depth. He made one about the story of Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah,
who
from
is-
start of career to current.
Yeah,
Current as of making of that video.
yeah. So he made a whole timeline on Roman Reigns, who is one of the main narratives right now in WWE with the whole bloodline situation, right? And his whole feud with Cody Rhodes, who is my personal favorite wrestler.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, that's what got me into it. Like, that whole breakdown of
Him as a person and as a character, and then like where the character of Roman Reigns
yeah.
meets the person Joe Anawahi is his real name.
Yeah.
Like, what is real, what isn't, what is the
Yeah.
blending of the two, and great essay.
I will link that video in the description box if you're interested. But that was what got me into WWE, because it was a video essay David had me sit down and watch. And then I tried watching an entire like WWE. Was it SummerSlam? The first one you watched?
I think we sat down and watched a Raw.
All of that is to say that I did not expect to get into WWE. I only watched that video essay because I love David and I want him to know that I care about the things that he likes. Unexpectedly, I also ended up loving WWE. And so when he made a joke about doing WWE wrestling entrances, I was like, you know what? That's not such a bad idea. We started workshopping the idea of like, who are we going to tailor fit our entrances
Oh yeah, this
to?
is the funniest thing ever, because we were like, I don't know, baby, and you'd be like, really funny. I'm like, yeah, it would be, but I don't know. And you're like, well, think about it. Okay, we watched Survivor Series,
Yeah.
and then I made a joke. Oh man, I would love to do a CM Punk themed entrance, but I haven't heard it in forever. It'd be so funny if he came back. CM Punk's music hits in Chicago. Well, I guess I'm
He's
doing a
back.
wrestling intro.
So David decided, because he loves CM Punk, that he would do an entrance to CM Punk's theme song. And me, being the Cody Rhodes lover that I am, do the Cody Rhodes American Nightmare entrance with the whole whoa situation.
For tonight's main event, the Lara Garcia marriage. Introducing first, the man who's about to step into the ring of forever. Give it up for the groom, David Garcia! Mary Maxine Lara
So that's what we did. And listen, explaining that I'm doing a WWE inspired wrestling entrance at my wedding reception to my siblings was a hard feat to do because they were not taking me seriously. And they were kind of side eyeing me a little bit of like, really, that's what you want for your wrestling entrances? But lo and behold, we have gotten the most compliments on our reception entrance because ours, according to our guests who had attended a bunch of other weddings apparently in that same year, our entrance was the most fun and the most unique that they had seen. And they did say that it captured our personalities perfectly. It was so much fun. Let's talk about the photography team and the videography team.
Oh.
Team Benitez was our photographer. They were great. We did not opt for a same-day edit for the videography team because we didn't want a templated edit to be what would end up being our wedding video. We didn't want that. We wanted just like, take your time with the videography team, take your time, edit it for as much as you need, as long as it comes back to us in the way you promised in terms of quality and the styles. So we did a documentary style wedding video. But for the photography team, it was Team Benitez. We did get a same day edit with them. And they asked us for a couple of inspirations, which we sent, and they were able to, like, they did a really good job to capture all our inspos on top of also capturing the special moments of like the wedding gown reveal, photos of me talking with my bridesmaids while we were all getting married together. They were also so hyped over the WWE wrestling entrances, which was so much fun to know that they were hyped over it because we knew, okay, when you guys capture this for us, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get the vibe that we want. Our videography team was First Wings Films. It was such a coincidence that apparently David knew the director. So they were recommended to me by my best friend Hai because she knew them. So I booked them and I was like, okay, we need this done. We want a documentary style video for our wedding video. If you guys don't know what a documentary style video is, search it up on TikTok. You'll see a lot of them there. That was where I first discovered it. Basically, it's a wedding video that has a lot of like in real life dialogue in it, which makes it feel so much more casual and cozy. And it felt more on par with mine and David's dynamic.
Babe, they know. They've seen the video. You've seen the video, right?
Yeah. And then I got on the Zoom call and I didn't tell David like who the director was that we were going to get on the Zoom call with because I didn't think it mattered. Like we were going to meet him anyway. Anyway, I got on the call first and I was waiting on David. And the director, whose name is William, he was like, is your husband to be David Garcia? I was like, yeah. And he said, okay, kasi we were classmates. So apparently, magkabarkada pala sila dati. I didn't tell David. So when he entered the call, I was like, David, guess who it is? And David was like, Uy, William! And then William was like, David! And then that was where it began. Okay, so you said you wanted to talk about the videography team. The floor is yours. I'm gonna pick up Pippy while he talks about it.
Yeah. So shout out William. Love you very much, Willie boy. Billiam. I love you, Will. You did an incredible job. I knew William was in the video editing and directing business. And I've known him to be hyper talented because I remember even like just making tambay in his house and like watching him edit and stuff. And like I always knew super talented. But I didn't realize we could get him because I always last I heard was he was so busy, like swamped with projects. I'm like, one in a million chance, no way. Max shows up with one of my best buddies. I'm like, oh my god, and immediately we were like, my guy, we don't want to save the edit. I know what you can do. Take all the time you want. Take several months if you'd like, whatever. As long as he comes back to us and it's the best you can do, no problem. Turns out, so it's very funny. I was getting texts at the wedding, during the reception, that Will's like, I just got to the part of the wedding where you're in the church. I just saw that your interviews, because he was at that point. He was already editing because he was like, nope, this is some really good material, and as Will puts it, he felt like he had to sit down in that editing bay already, without anyone else, and just go to town on it, and he did. You've seen the video, right? You've seen click the video. This bit's going to die, and as you can see, if you've seen the video, Will did an incredible job. So shout out First Wings, shout out Will. If you need anything for video stuff, go fully endorsed. And not just because he's my best friend, one of my best friends, but because he's an incredible talent.
Everybody say hi to Pippy. Okay, so yeah, if you guys are ever in need of a videographer for any kind of event, but I guess more particularly for a wedding event, highly recommend First Wings Films. And now we're married.
Yippee!
Yippee! That's pretty much it. I don't know if this video is going to come out as cohesive. That is the story of our entire year of planning for the wedding and actually getting married. And now we are almost 2 months as a married couple.
Cohabitating.
Is
that the word?
Cohabitating.
Yeah, it is.
With our new baby girl, Pippy. And we're having a great time. So, thank you guys so much for watching. We love you. And I'll see you in the next video.
You gotta do the outro, the flying kiss, but it's Pippy instead. Why her culo?